Kia ora, and welcome to week 8 of fiction writing. Whew. Well, things are starting to heat up at this point in the semester. We're at week 8 of 12. So I know particularly if you're in lots of other courses, there's a bit of a crunch on to get your work submitted, to get your assignment submitted. So it's a good time to take care of yourself, get some proper sleep, exercise some good time management, do some deep breathing, meditation if you do it, and just really try to take care of yourself as we get into the last somewhat more difficult stretch of the course, and other courses you might have as well compound. All course materials should be available on the website now. There was some question about the structure PDF. Some people couldn't download it properly or open it or view it properly. I've now re-uploaded that with a PDF extension. It was a PDF previously, but without the PDF extension, there might have been some issues viewing it in some viewers. So hopefully that's all sorted now. Some of you are moving on to the second round of workshopping. Some of you haven't quite made that step yet. So once you get through there, then you're done story 1, story 2, and hopefully the 2 peer reviews. What that leaves is just one final assignment. So I thought I would talk about that really quick. I will talk about it again, but just so you can begin thinking about it. So story 3 is a new or re-envisioned story. Well, what does that mean? Well, a new story is pretty straightforward, and a new story is going to be a really good option for those of you that have written 2 stories and for whatever reason you're not really satisfied with them. You're not interested in the characters. They were experiments, you've learned something from them, but you want to leave them behind. Well, that's great. You're not wedded to those stories, you're not wedded to those characters, to that language, to that material, to that subject matter. You can write something completely new. And for a lot of students, that will be a great choice. Other students, maybe you've written something in story 1 and 2 that you liked, something that resonated either with you, with your peers, with your tutor, something that you thought, you know what, I think I'd like to return to that. And this re-envision story gives you the chance to. So what the re-envision story is not, I should talk about first. It's not editing. It's not submitting the same story with a few sort of grammar and proofing things done. It's not submitting the same story with a scene sharpened a little bit. It's not submitting the same story that you did for story 1 or 2 with a different ending. It needs to be a bit more holistic than that, and the description of it includes that in the official guidelines. So what that means is that if you do submit a story that's only a minor editing and not a kind of re-envisioning, that has to be taken into account for negatively in your grade. So you really want to submit a story that you've really reimagined in some way. What do I mean by reimagined? That's a good question, and there's no simple, straightforward answer. But essentially, reimagining is that you've taken some core element of the material, maybe a character, more than likely an emotional center, but maybe even just something as small as a setting or a particular plot line, and you've opened up a blank page and you've really tried to rework this material, usually following the suggestions of your tutor and peers, but sometimes just also contributing a lot of your own new ideas and innovative takes on what the story might need. And what you're doing is in some way finding a new way into this material. You're finding a new way to call attention to the emotional center, a new way to make us have sympathy for the character, to stop having sympathy for the character, a new way to turn up the urgency of the plot, a new way to use language that's a little less familiar, that's not purple prose. Whatever the case may be, you're really taking something from the old story, but reimagining it and writing what constitutes fundamentally and in many ways a new story, but it's not completely new. So this re-envision story gives you a chance to revisit earlier material from the course if that's what is most useful for your own writing. I will talk about that again. If you have questions, what I would suggest is go ahead and start a thread on the discussion forum. I will answer some of those on the forum, and maybe some of them I'll answer in next week's video. In the meantime, I see people are continuing, although a few less people, are continuing to use the forums to share their writing exercises, getting into some of the more complex ones now, which take a little more interaction. So if you get a chance, please join them and submit your exercise too, and join in what I hope is good fun. I'll see you next time.